Disney's Atlantis is definitely an interesting film to talk about in their whole catalog of films. This film tried a lot of unique and new things that didn't really pan out for the studio. However, in recent years, films got a little bit of a cult following, so the really question is this film good or was it just a sinker that didn't work out? Well, let's find out. The film production started after the crew finished The Hunchback of Notre Dame. A lot of the people who worked on this film decided they wanted to stay together and work on another Disney film. For their new idea, they wanted to do something new, but loosely based off the Jules Verne novel, A Journey to the Center of the Earth, which is about explorers going on an adventure into the center of the Earth, including visiting Atlantis. They decided, like, hey, well, we have a whole story based off just that one aspect, loosely based off the book. The filmmakers who made this film took a lot of time researching everything about the myths of Atlantis, as well as some archaeological stuff, including things of the early 20th century where the film takes place. It's pretty clear by watching this film that there's a lot more detail in the elements around it rather than the actual story itself, which is where this film definitely shines the most. They definitely put a lot of effort into researching different cultural aspects and putting it into the animation. The animation in this film is pretty top-notch. There are some shots that just look really nice, like this aquarium, like reflecting. I like that a lot. This film used more CGI than any other previous Disney film, minus Dinosaur in its traditional animation department. So the CGI mixing is done incredibly well. They've been doing this for a while now at this point, so at this point you expect it to look good, and it does. In terms of animation, this is probably the most technically advanced film that we'll ever see in Disney, just because of how unique the techniques and skills are. It shows a lot of effort, and it's the best thing about the film, I gotta say. It's a very unique film to look at, and a very dazzling film to look at. I highly recommend watching it just for that aspect alone. Though you can tell that based off all this information, they were more concerned about writing the lore and background of all this stuff rather than writing the characters themselves. None of the characters are bad, but everything else seems a lot more developed than anything else in the film. This was going to be a franchise, I believe. Well, they were going to make a TV series, but all that fell flat when the film initially released in 2001. This was during Disney's experimental age, when they're like doing films that weren't traditional musicals, which is fine, but the problem is that audiences at the time weren't looking for that. They were looking for more things that seem more adult rather than a cartoon adventure film. The advertising for the film, which is not very there, it's recently really bad advertising films in the 2000s, other than the next Disney film. It's the only one that was advertised really good. But a film like this is like, oh, it's an adventure, but that's kind of vague, and people are like, why would I want to see that? And they have another 3D film that has an adult joke in it. They're like, oh, let's watch that for our kids, it looks funny. You know what I mean? I remember seeing an ad for Treasure Planet as a kid and thinking it didn't look very good because the ad was confusing. Just a random moon. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to watch that. And I didn't. And I'm mad because that movie's really good, but the advertisement was shit. To make matters worse, the 3D film this film had to go up against was Shrek. And yes, this came out at the same time as Shrek was in theaters, which that is gotta be one of the worst luck for a film like this ever. A lot of people at the time just didn't really get into this film. But like I said, it did grow a cult following, because the kids who did see at the time were like, hey, this film actually has some decent elements, and that's what we're going to look into. So what do people like about Atlantis that people didn't see when it first came out? Well, it's a kind of interesting film. Instead of going for a traditional musical route or a typical comedy, this film goes for a old-timey century adventure film in the vein of something like Indiana Jones, if you will, with a little bit of retro futurism in there. It's one of those films that's kind of for nerds, which is why it didn't have that much mainstream appeal, in my opinion. This film could have worked as a live-action film in that regard, but animation is something that a lot of people just aren't attracted to in the main audience. I like it, but it's not something that attracts a lot of people, if that makes any sense. If you don't know the story, it's about a group of characters who are on an expedition to find the lost mythical city of Atlantis. The first half, which is the strongest half in my opinion, is just the crew exploring the tunnels and trying to find a way through and getting to know each other. There's a lot of colorful characters, some of which shine more than others. The character of the mole is easily the worst character here. He's like a mole man, I guess, and he sucks. He's a weird French guy who likes dirt and being a creep, so he sucks ass. But all the other characters are actually pretty charming and have very unique characteristics, and they have funny voices too. And yeah. The main character is a nerd guy, so he's like me, I guess, but he's voiced by Michael J. Fox, so I guess he's not like me, because he's cooler than me. But then again, I don't have Parkinson's, so maybe that, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying right now. This is heavy. The second half of the film is easily the weaker part of the film. Not that it's bad, but it's nowhere near as interesting as it was the first half. And apparently they've forgotten everything about their culture, which would be fine. I guess that could happen over generations, but they're the same people that was there when everything was lost to begin with. They've aged thousands of years. This is an idea that I don't really understand. They put a lot of effort into the all this whole background around the city, but at the same time, there's logical things that don't make any sense. How do these people age that much? There's a life source of the city that's dying, but these people haven't died at all. Like, I can see generation after generation forgetting certain things, especially if they're not using it, but the actual same exact generation for thousands of years has forgot their own fucking language? I don't understand that. They never explained how that even happened to begin with. They said once the floods came in, we forgot. How did you forget? You were there. Like, I don't get it. You think this girl would try to learn some of this stuff for the thousands of years doing nothing in this small little area? I don't know. Like, you think she would figure out this fish before he even got here? Thousands of years of your life, you eventually gain some knowledge. She's not written like she is thousands of years old. It's kind of a pointless thing. It would make sense she was ascended. It may be nitpick, but it just kind of bothers me because it makes no sense. And then there's a twist villain, and this guy, he was an okay character before, it just becomes like, I'm a villain and I'm evil. Then it turns out that every side character is evil. Now that's an interesting thing. So this guy's like, yeah, I'm cartoonishly evil because now I want to punch him for no reason, and everyone else is like, fuck you, we're going to go against you. I kind of see the elements they're going for, but the twist villain, the only way it can work is if the villain is entertaining before and after, and the conclusion makes sense. Pixar's actually pretty good at twist villains. Like, Water Noose from Monsters, Inc., you can see his motivation still makes sense afterwards. Even Ernesto de la Cruz, his character doesn't change, you just realize that he's a villain in a weird way. This guy, he's like a complete different character before and after.
Just won the solid gold QP dog.
This line literally makes no sense to me, like, at all. I did a little research, and I still don't get it. Like, I looked it up, and I just get quotes from here, and like, I read it, and there's like an achievement for this line, referencing this one character saying, solid gold Cupid doll. What the fuck is that? I don't... what is it? I looked up... Cupid, what's that? Apparently, it's a doll. Okay, we know that. But what do you mean solid gold? It's kind of a fucking obscure shit thing as possible to reference. It's like a 1900 doll for like, little girls. Apparently, it represents women's suffrage? Like, what the fuck does that mean? Why is he getting an award? What? It's not an award! What? I don't get it! I don't get it. So this guy, after betraying all his people and getting killed, pretty much... And how does he get killed? Well, he gets slashed by a blue glass, and that makes his body transform. At first, it's like, okay, he's gone for good, but then he's like a weird crystal monster, but then he just dies immediately afterwards. What was the point of becoming Crystal Monster if he was just going to get killed by the fans immediately afterwards? Like, what's going on here? I mean, it makes, at least would have made sense as like some weird fight with this crystal form, something interesting like that, but he just dies. Oh well. So yeah, that's the Atlantis. There's not much else to say, really. I do like some of the side characters, the doctors, the, like Audrey, she's pretty cool. Milo's okay, Kita's also okay. It's mostly an okay film, that's what I rate it. Great animation and some interesting ideas, just, I don't know, maybe a rewrite would have fixed it a little bit, maybe make some of the things make more sense. Have a stronger villain that's not just a lame-ass twist villain. Make Atlantis seem more interesting. It has some interesting backgrounds, but I don't know anything or care anything about these people who just forgot everything about their culture, which just makes no sense. Like I said, I mentioned that earlier before. If they were different descendants, it would make more sense, but them being the same exact people makes no fucking sense. It's a very unique Disney film, and they really didn't do anything else like this. Well, they kind of did, but not in the caliber of Atlantis. It's a shame they didn't really take off. However, people who appreciate it, I understand you. I enjoy it. And it's a film that I didn't enjoy as much when I first saw it. However, I do appreciate a lot more nowadays. Anyways, the part of the Disney where we go on to the rankings and all that other stuff. The film was supposed to have a TV series, however, due to the film's failure, they canceled it. However, that TV series, what was released of it, was put onto a VHS and DVD. Maybe not VHS, but video, you know what I mean. It's not very good. Much like many other Disney movies or Eddie movies at the time, there was licensed games, because of course, this is the licensed game era. Atlantis had a licensed game on PS1 based on the film. It's not the only one, there's only 2 other ones, and that's really all there is for Atlantis. I have not played the PS1 game. Maybe it's good, who the hell knows. But much like a lot of the other ones, it's just a generic platformer game, it looks like, where you run through Atlantis. I mean, it could be possibly a good game, but like I said, I never played it, so I don't know. There was also a GBC and GBA port of the game, though those are obviously different consoles. And for what I played, I actually have played this one because I own the GBA version. It's not good. Sorry. For some reason, the GBA Game Boy tie-ins are just terrible. Like, they put, like, zero effort into it. Like, come on, people. It's not that hard to make a 2D platformer game. Why is every, like, one I played so bad? Oh, well. There was a pretty interesting PC game that looks a little lackluster called The Search for the Journal. which is, I guess, the prequel for the movie, because they were searching for a journal, and in one of the missions they mentioned for when the main catalyst in the film. So that's kind of an interesting concept if you want to see more. However, the gameplay looks kind of bare bones, and yeah, nothing too special here. But if you're interested, I guess, try to find a copy of an old PC game. There was another Atlantis game made by the same developers for PC called Trial by Fire, and it looks very similar to the previous one, except this one apparently follows the events of the movie, not the prequel stuff. Which, okay. Like I said, I don't know if these games are any good. Let me know in the comment section below if you ever played any of these games. I have not. And that is all for Atlantis Media. Atlantis did not do that well in the theaters, so any future media was just cancelled, unfortunately, for you Atlantis fans out there. That's time we get to the rankings now. When it comes to movies, Atlantis I feel like is in the middle of the pack. Definitely was hated on a little bit too much by critics at the time, but it doesn't really rise that high in terms of, well, story and characters. Characters can range from good, but not a little underdeveloped, to just forgettable or just weird flips and just sometimes just bad. There is a lot of potential, but I feel like the focus is way too much on the world and not enough on the story, if that makes any sense. I know I say that a lot, but hey, cut me a break. Like I said, I do like Atlantis, and 7 out of 10, in my opinion, is a good rating. If you don't know how I view it, I view 10's a masterpiece, 9's great, 8's good, 7's also good. I really should have said that wrong, differently. 6 is okay, 5 is not really good, and F tier, anything below a 5 is just bad, really, if that makes any sense. Like, terrible. That's how I view my rankings. Anyway, yeah, Atlantis is a good movie. It's one of those films I recommend people watch just because it feels like a little... I agree that it's underrated, and it definitely has some good qualities to it. So, yeah, make sure you check it out. We got another princess to rank in the Disney Princess ranking. We got Kida, who is just, much like the film itself, okay. She's a pretty weak character, honestly. She appears halfway through, and her character doesn't really make that much sense, because she should be a lot wiser than she is based on her age, but she doesn't really act like she's as old as she says she is. And I know that's a little nitpick, but it does have a little bit of a plot hole where she doesn't understand things that she really should understand based on the fact that she was there when that stuff was there, and unless anyone taught her that. Did her dad not want to teach her the language for some reason, or why did they forget to fly their things and be able to read the description for that? Why did some nerd be able to translate it but no one else there could? But they've been there for thousands of years with the same mindset, because they don't age, really. But she did age. She was a little kid at the beginning of the movie, but you see there's a little too much plot holes there. So yeah, you can see why I ranked her in C tier. Not a bad character, but a little underdeveloped in my opinion. Well, she did, in my opinion, for how little she's in the film, like at least half the film, she did do better than Aurora and Pocahontas, who were actually the main characters of their film. So there's something. And in the villain rank, we've got the guy Rourke, who I put the bottom of C tier. I liked him a lot before, as when he was not a villain. He actually kind of comes as an interesting mentor-like style character, but not really. I like some of that stuff, and then when he becomes a villain, he's just like, yeah, I'm bad. You want the solid gold Koopy doll? I don't know what that means. What the fuck what's a solid gold Koopy doll? I don't get it. Well, yeah, maybe it should be lower, but I was like, I felt that was a fair spot for that dude. I remember his death. I don't understand it still. He becomes blue and then dies after he becomes blue. Oh well. He's blue, bada-dee-bada-die. And that's it for Atlantis rankings. There's no songs here, so that doesn't apply here. But like I said, it's not musical. It doesn't have any... I think it has a credit song, but it's kind of like a generic pop song, so it's not really written for the movie. If it is, well, whatever. I'm not counting it. So yeah, that's it. I will see you next time. Which... Wait, don't I... Yeah, I do that for that. Alright, so, sorry, I'm getting back to doing this Disney reviews after doing a bunch of Halloween reviews. Sorry this video came out a little weird, but that's okay. And don't forget that I did do one for Emperor's New Groove. However, that video, I think, got a little shelf hidden away in my videos, because I scheduled it for, like, later, but when I first made it, I did it before the Halloween videos, and it got stuck before that. So, if you want to see that, go check that out. But anyway, I'll see you next time for Lilo and Stitch. I'll see you then.